Hello, what's up everyone? Welcome to this new live stream just after the Apple event to try out a software that I've heard a lot about lately called Cursor AI. So what's Cursor AI? From what I understand, it's a development environment that seems to be heavily based on VS Code from Microsoft, and it seems that it's integrating a lot of pretty cool AI features that people seems to find pretty nice. So I haven't tried them myself. I've simply downloaded Cursor, made sure that it launched, and that's it. By the way, before I start, also always good to mention it. This is not a sponsored live stream. Cursor did not pay me to do this live stream. I've actually never spoken with the team that's behind this software. I've just heard a lot of people talk about it, and I was like, let's try out and see how good it is with Swift and iOS code. And also this way we'll be able to compare it to solutions made by Apple. So I'm thinking of predictive code completion in Xcode 16 beta and also Swift Assist when it will come up later this year, because from what I understand, Cursor might be more similar to Swift Assist in its features than predictive code completion, even though it seems to also do predictive code completion. So as always, if you're watching live, don't hesitate to ask any questions, share any remark that you have in the chat. That's what the chat is made for. And let's get started. So I'm in Cursor. I've simply opened it and made sure that I had a pro account with a trial period so that I can use the software in the same condition as if I were paying for it. And so they have this getting started where they give you the basics. And so they say to prompt and edit, you can highlight code and hit Command K. So like that. And you can see that it uses Claude from Anthropic under the hood. You can type and then hit tab when you see a suggestion. So the same behavior than what both Copilot and also I'm trying to remember the name of the predictive code completion in Xcode do. And the one where you can ask a question, so you can do Command L and just ask a question. You can basically chat. The idea that you can kind of like chat with your code, ask what a function does, ask to explain something, ask maybe to find where a bug might be. And what else is there? And then you can highlight code and hit Command Shift L to focus the AI, so like that. So you can ask a question, but focused on a part of the code. All right, so we'll use this with Swift and iOS code. So what I'm gonna do is go into Xcode. So I'm going to create a new app. So let's call it Testing Cursor AI, like that. So Swift UI and Swift. And I guess I'm going to use it with a basic use case, which is going to be, I'm going to use it to implement like the app I've implemented a lot in many of my live streams, and it's the app that queries the movie database API to display a list of upcoming movies. And we'll see how good it is, and we'll take it from there, and we'll try to make the most of this new software. So I'm going to leave Xcode. I just used Xcode to create the project. I'm going to go back into Cursor, and I'm going to want to open a new project. So I have to figure out how to do it. I will do open folder. And so I'm going to go into my desktop and Xcode projects, and I call it testing Cursor AI. So it will be this one. All right, you can access the items. Okay. I'm going to stay in English. We'll see if it asks me to install something to be able to deal with Swift code. We'll see about that. I'm just making sure, yeah, you can see the full window. Perfect. So let's see. So for instance, I'm looking at, let's try to implement the API calls. So I'm going to, I don't know where I clicked, but I want to stay in Cursor. So I want to create a new file. Let's see, if I add a new file, what's going to happen? So if I add a file, there is instead of a composer. But me, I want to create. Oh, you can add file to composer or add file to cursor chat. And what if I just want, I just want to add a new file like this. So I'm gonna call it movie.swift. And so I'm gonna start writing. So import foundation, perfect. Okay, you can see it was quite fast. And it suggested a movie, codable, title, year, writing, description, image. So I'm checking if it's what I want. So I want to have also an ID, which is an int. Good suggestion. But remember that this API that I'm querying is very popular, so it's likely that a lot of code on GitHub also uses it and is available for training. So title, I don't care about the year, not the writing, but I'm gonna want the overview. Perfect. And then, so I'm gonna want the poster path, which is a string, and I'm gonna want the poster URL. And so let's see if they can build it correctly. So they say return URL, HTTPS string, okay, image.tmdb.org/t/pw500. Yeah, except that I wanted the 400, but besides that, seems to be pretty good. But remember that it's likely that there were several training examples that were using this particular API. Don't expect it to be that good if you use an API that's from like an API made by your company for which there isn't a lot of examples of integration. And you can see that here it missed one thing. It missed here the last slash. But for now, that's pretty good. Then I'm gonna need to have my movie response. So let results movie. Okay, that one is correct. And now let's try and implement the class to make the call. So movie service, it went there directly. What's interesting is that I've seen this behavior both with Copilot, with predictive code completion in Xcode, and here with Cursor, which uses Claude under the hood, is that they all want to use a completion handler. I guess because there is way more code that uses a completion handler than code that uses Swift concurrency, but it's always kind of frustrating. So I'm gonna try and see if I can just say, so I liked fetch movies. Can I also like, if I do Shift Tab, now can I try to, I want to try and alternate between several suggestions. I don't know how I can do it. Oh, no, you know what? I can use the chat feature here. So yes. So let's accept what it's going to give me for now. Okay. So perfect. So I have this. Wait. So here we have this, then this right here, JSON decoder. Okay. The camel case won't be good, I think. So we need to create my own decoder. But for now, it seems okay. And so what I want to do is select this right here. And then I think I can do like Command L, and I can do refactor this code to use async await. Let's see what's gonna happen. No. I guess I just wanted to select this. Okay. So it seems to be explaining. So it says it's going to change it like that, and it explains, okay. So I can do apply. I can see the changes just like I would in a pull request, and I can do Command Y like this. Okay, and also Command Y. Okay, so I can do it for each of each part of the diff. And now it seems that I have mostly what I want. Great. So now I'm going to try it again. I'm gonna move the window a bit because I realize that my face is covering it a bit. I'm gonna move it a bit like that. So what are we going to do? I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna say, so I'm going to ask it something. If I do Command K for edit, I can do like refactor this to use camel case decoding strategy. So you can see we have it here, and then we can accept it. So we can accept. I'm going to close this so that you can see a bit more. Okay. And then if I go, or if I just go like that, and then I say extract the JSON decoder into a global constant. Okay, so it moved it here. So it removed it here, but where did it add it? So I can do accept like that. So that's nice, but the thing is, like, it removed it, but that's nice. But now, where is this JSON decoder created? Because I'm gonna go back into Xcode. Oh yeah, because I created the file, so I need to add it. I need to add the file into Xcode, and I need to go back to cursor and to save. Okay. Yeah, because this here doesn't exist. Oh, and here it's a let, but it should have been a var actually. All right. And so, yeah, because here I don't have create a global constant holding the JSON decoder. You can see that it feels like it's asking some kind of like yeah, ChatGPT like, but then just like when you ask ChatGPT or Claude, but it handles the code snippets inside an IDE for you. So it says, okay, so it's saying, okay, I added a constant, global JSON decoder, okay. That seems to be better. So maybe asking the composer here, this thing here, how did I open it? Did I do like Command K or Command Shift K? Yeah, it was Command Shift K, I think. Oh. And what if I can then, okay, I can close it like that. No. All right. So I have my code. All right. All right. Let's try to implement it here now. So I'm gonna need to create a view model. So for that, I'm gonna go into Xcode. First, I'm going to do a refactor rename here. I'm gonna call it movies view. By the way, I forgot to check, but it's calling, okay, it's calling the popular movies. Oh, and here I still need to add the API key. You know what? Since I'm a bit lazy, I'm just gonna get like, yeah, I'm just gonna copy and paste the API key I was using last time. So like that. And then I'm gonna use it. So there is chat, Command L, and edit, Command K. All right. That's good. Okay. So now I have movies view. I'm going to create another file. I'm gonna call it Swift UI view. I'm gonna call it, no, it's not a view. It's a view model. So it's just a file. I'm gonna call it movies view model. And I'm gonna go into cursor to see what it suggests. So here, for instance, I guess I can do write a movies view model which fetches data using movies. Is it called movies service? It's called movie service. I'm gonna rename it into movies service. Which fetches data using movies service. Let's see. So we have at main actor class movies view model. It's an observable object, so it doesn't use the most recent observation API, but that's fine. So we have a published var movies, array of movies, is loading an error. So here we can see that it's suggesting to add the S, the missing S, Maybe because I hadn't saved at the time where I opened the chat, I don't know. Then we have a function fetch movies. So we can see that it's not async because it uses a task explicitly under the hood, but maybe here. So what if I were to accept this async? Now here, this is no longer correct. So maybe I can come here, select this, do Command K for edit, and to do refactor so that the method itself is async. And then I can accept everything at once. Yeah. So it really feels like asking everything to ChatGPT or Claude, but you don't need to do the copy and pasting. That's pretty nice. Okay. So that seems to be correct. All right. Now let's save this and let's try to implement the view. So I'm gonna do Command K, refactor this view to display data from movies view model. So we have a state object here. That one seems good. And then it's removing the content of the body and instead, so navigation view, a list of the list of movies. Okay, movies is not identifiable, but it does pass the ID, so that's correct. And then movie, vstack, title overview, navigation title, on appear task. It could have used the task modifier, but that's still pretty good. And then there is even a loader, so overlay, group, if view model is loading progress view, great. And then alert for if there is an error, and it creates the alert item here. That's pretty great. I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna ask refactor to use the task modifier. Yep. All right, well, you know what? I'm gonna save all of that. I'm gonna go into Xcode. I'm gonna run oh, seems like. Wait. What do I do here? Or click revert to keep the changes from the other application. I want to do revert, yeah. Yeah, I want to keep what's been done by the other app. Yeah. Okay, so let's see how this workflow does. So we have the simulator. I'm trying to put it into dark mode so it feels less violent on the eye, especially that late. I mean, it's not super late, but still. All right. Hello, Michael in the chat. So yeah, that seems to be pretty cool. We can notice that it didn't display the image. So you know what? Just working, adjusting my chair. So I'm gonna ask it to also display the image because displaying an image, an async image, can be a bit complex in SwiftUI. So let's see how it fares with that. So yeah, here. So I'm gonna go into this part right here. You know what? Maybe I can just do Command K and open a chat like here. Add code to display the poster. What did I call it? I call it the poster image. Let's see. It's adding an image cache. No, I want to update the body to display the poster image. I'm not talking about async image. I just want to see if it can make that jump by itself. Maybe, I don't know, do I need to accept that first? Because I don't want to have this cache. But maybe, I think what's happening is that maybe since I'm clicking here, it's generating like it's in a mode where it's not gonna try and refactor and change code. It's just going to be additive. So if I select and then I do edit and I do add code to display the poster image, that seems better. Yes, it's removing the v stack, putting an h stack, async image, switch over the phase, progress view, success, resizable. That seems pretty good. You know what? I'm gonna save it and run it, and we'll see. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I'm gonna try and ask it to move the image to the right, just to see if it can handle it. So I'm gonna select the H tag this time, and I'm gonna say display the image on the right. I'm trying to see like how much context I need to give it. So now it's like we have H tag, V stack, spacer, async image. How does it look? Okay, so design-wise, it's not the greatest, but okay, now what if I say, go back to how it was before? Go back to like it was before. Just to see if it has kept some context. No. Put the image back on the left. Okay. I'm gonna try and do something. What if I just select this part and I say, increase the line limit for the overview to 4 lines. I just want to see if it's going to. Yeah, no, it can only change what's been selected. Okay. What if I want? Yeah. If I open the composer and I do update the number of lines of overview displayed to 4. Okay, this way it understands. Okay, so it's better to use the composer like that, and then it's explaining what is happening. I'm wondering if you can just, yeah, you can hide it like that, yeah. And so it suggested where to make the change. All right, that's pretty nice. Now what I want to do is go here, and I want to say refactor movies service to introduce dependency injection, like that. We're still at the file level, but it did protocol, movie service protocol, and then the class implements the protocol. What's interesting is that it also allowed to inject the URL session and the JSON decoder. Okay, so it went all the way. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Okay, so that's great here. And now I guess I also need to go. Actually, what I wanted to see is there is the code base wide change, where I would like it to also update like what's done here. So I don't know how you do the with code base. But what if I want to do something at the full code base? So Command K. I'm gonna close this. So what if I take like all of the files? What if I reset it? When I reset it, and what if you do like Command Shift K? I don't know. No, there was Command L also for the chat. But what if, okay, so you can do the chat like that for the code base, but I guess it's for asking questions. But if I do like refactor the code to use dependency injection for movies service, I'm going to copy it so that I have it in my pasteboard. So it needs to read everything. So then you can say, okay, apply. So here it made the change in this file. And then here, so what happens if you do ask? Okay, you can ask questions about it. Or you can just do like apply like that here. And then apply like that. Okay, and then you can just accept it here. So you can ask for changes code base wise. Now I don't know how that scales as your code base grows, because here the size of the code base is like it's basically trivially small in the sense that you could put everything into the same file and you would have maybe like 500 lines tops. So it's not a huge code base by any mean. Okay. But still, we have some pretty cool and interesting results, I must say. Okay, what else can we do now? I would like to also try and yeah, I found something where you can do something where there is a bug. You can introduce a bug and then ask it to find the bug. But I don't have a great idea on how to introduce a bug. Oh, you know what? Let me remove this. And then I can do Command L and then I can say, help me find the bug when decoding the data fetched from the API. And I'm going to do it at a code base level. So we'll see if it says that there is something missing. It says where the code is likely, where the bug is likely to be. And so here it says that, you can see that it did find it in another way where it said that, okay, you should provide explicit coding keys rather than using a decoding strategy, but it didn't make the correct suggestion. And then it can also say you might want to add some error handling or debugging to see the issue. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now let's see. What if I want to also fetch like the cast, for instance, of a movie. So I'm gonna go here. Yeah, you can add the file to the composer. Oh, I see Damien in the chat. Hello, so you say that you're currently watching my async await videos from 2 years ago. You know that some of them are still among the most popular ones on my channel, but that makes sense because async await is one of the topics that everyone needs to go over at some point. Like there is no way around it when you're doing iOS, modern iOS development. So I'm glad that you've enjoyed them. If I remember correctly, so there is one that is about like a very early version of async await, a beta. So you can watch it, but it's more about like archaeology because it's not the code that you actually use today in Swift. But there is one about 3 mistakes to avoid, and this one, if you didn't check it out, I would recommend having a look because a few of these mistakes they can be really tricky. So I would recommend this one, and I'm glad to hear that the videos are useful for you. So what I want to do, yes, I wanted to try and implement like a details view, but using like letting cursor do all of the heavy lifting for me. So let's see how I can do that. I'm gonna try and do it. I think I will still need to create the new files. There will be no way around it, but you know what? Let's not create new files. Let's try and, for instance, for now, let's try and ask it. Trying to find the best way to ask it that, but I'm gonna be like, I want to. I would love for it to be auto-completion here. Like when writing the prompt, it would make it so much easier to have auto-completion and auto-correction. I want to add a new service to fetch data about the cast members of a movie. So let's go. If it's reading every file when you have like 10,000 of them, it's gonna be a big problem. So here we have, so it says, okay, so let's update this and let's add the following code. So apply it, let's see. So apply this. So we have this, so cast member, okay. Cast response, cast service protocol. So it even did the dependency injection. It also added the API key here with my correct syntax. So that's great. And then so these codes add, so they explain what it does. And now let's update movies view model to include the new cast. And here, so what I want to do, actually, I'm gonna be like, actually, I want to create a new movie details view model. Let's see what it's gonna do. So what am I doing? I'm using a new code editor called Cursor AI, which from what I understand is kind of like a wrapper around the Claude LLM. And I'm trying to see how good it is with Swift and iOS. So I'm making the edits in Cursor using their AI, and then I'm running the code in Xcode. I'm trying to see if it's good or not. For now, it seems to be pretty good, to be honest, on the example I've asked it. And I'm trying to see like just like how much of a positive addition can this Cursor AI software be for like the tool belt of an iOS developer. Like maybe you won't be using it every time, but maybe for some specific use cases, we'll try to make it implement tests for us just after. I'm sure that there are like more than one use case where it can be pretty useful. Can I just add all Swift files and ask about the entire project? It seems that you can do it, but I'm really wondering how that scales, because when you have a lot of Swift files, that might be a problem. Maybe it works better typically if you have like split your project into several packages, and then you can only send the files of a given package. I guess it depends also on the context window of the LLM that it's using under the hood, how many tokens it can fit in that context window. So I'm not sure, but you raise a good point that like how many files you can ask about at the same time is one of the like key metrics to find out if that scales well or not. So here they say that you can add, so they added this code here, and then what did they do here? So they are adding this, but then there is the view model and this one. Yeah, this one here. So here, I mean, I guess the code is good, but I'm less a fan of the workflow, because you need to, since it cannot create the files for you, it's not the most sorry. All right, seems I'm good. Since it cannot create the files for you, it's a bit tedious, to be honest. But I'm gonna try and do it like file by file. So you know what? I'm gonna go a bit into Xcode and I'm gonna like move the code around. So here I have movie. So what I'll do is that I will create a new file. So new file. I'm gonna call it service. And in service, so yeah, I agree that if just the fact that you have an AI which can allow you to more easily select which files you want to send to ChatGPT or any like ChatGPT like LLM is already great, and that might be actually the really cool feature. And if I go back to cursor, you can see that here you can easily like add files for your query. So I think I see that making more sense, because asking at the code base level, yes, it feels magical, but when you have a large code base, I can see it like having trouble like scaling. Whereas selecting a handful of files and then asking questions, sending refactor commands about this handful of files seems more realistic. So I'm gonna want to move all of that. So you know what, actually, so I'm having this here and just, yeah, this part right here. I'm gonna do a service and a model approach, not the best. Would be better to put everything, to have like one file for the movie model, one file for the cast member model, etc. But it's better than nothing this way. And then so movies view model, and so I'm going to create two new files. I'm going to create movie details view model and another SwiftUI view called movie details view. All right. So now let's go back to cursor and let's try and use this composer feature. So I'm gonna say I want to give it which files. I want to give it the service. I want to give it. Why don't I have the model also? Yeah, I want to give it the model. I want to give it movie details view model and movie details view. And so I'm gonna say implement a movie details view model and a movie details view which displays both the title, the overview, the poster, and a list of the cast members with actor name and role. All right. So let's see. So first, let's see that it's doing thing in every file. So for instance, in movie, yeah, so we can see what it does. So first, movie details view model. So it's really like it picks the code suggestions and then it translates them into IDE commands. So it's also an interesting use case in like how to use an LLM inside an app. That's also very interesting to see that being done. So let's see. I'm going to close this and look at the code. So main actor, movie details view model, observable object. So we have the movie. This one could even be a constant, I guess. And then we have the cast. Is loading error message, the protocol, perfect, the service. All right. That seems quite good. And if I go into the other one, movie details view, so the state object, and then, so the scroll view. So it uses the scroll view and then a for each. Okay. Maybe I will ask it to refactor that to use to use a list instead, but we'll see. First, I want to go here and I want to say, so I'm going to open another, no, yeah, it's, how do you open the composer? Yeah, like that. I'm gonna reset it only to have this file, and I want to say, I want the movie to be a let constant. So a bit overkill for this change, let's be honest, but it worked correctly. Okay. Let's see if this works actually. I want to see like if I run this code, what's gonna happen. Well, there's gonna be nothing because I don't have a way to navigate. So now I need to go into movies view and to be able to navigate. Oh, here there is an error actually. Call to main actor. So how many errors is there? Just this one? Yeah. So call to main actor. Oh, because here this is main actor isolated. So what if I do like at main actor here? There is still a problem. Because this could be built from like what? This is the main actor, yes. You know what? Let's try actually to ask Claude through cursor. So I'm gonna go here in this part here, select this, and I'm gonna chat, and I'm gonna say, I get this compiler error. So to resolve the compiler error, you need to make the initializer of movies model non-isolated or create the movies view model instance asynchronously. Since movies view model is likely using at main actor, its initializer is automatically isolated to the main actor. Here's how you can modify the movies view to resolve the issue. Okay. In Europe, is your SwiftUI more commonly used than UIKit? Honestly, I'm not sure that there is that much of a difference between like regions in the world. But I would say like these days, like a new apps, they are likely to start with SwiftUI as a default and only go to UIKit when needed. And then older apps, now that iOS 15 as the minimum target version is becoming more and more realistic for new features, they also tend to use SwiftUI. So I would say that SwiftUI took a bit more time to be adopted as the default than Swift did versus Objective-C. But now I would say that SwiftUI is pretty well established, to be honest. And yes, there are still projects in UIKit or with a large amount of UIKit code, but for their new features now, if people want to use SwiftUI, like they have the means to do it, and there are not that many blockers at the business level. And I'm thinking typically like back when you had to drop a lot of iOS versions to be able to use SwiftUI in a way that is like realistic. So I mean by dropping iOS 13 typically, and maybe even 14, that could be a challenge. Now that iOS 18 is coming soon, having iOS 15 as the minimum version is realistic. So I would say yeah, more and more, but I don't have data about a percentage to be honest. So I kind of like this one. So I'm gonna take this one, and actually here, I mean, if you have this, you might as oh yeah, because the problem is the default value. So yeah, you need to have the 2 in it. Okay. So I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure if this approach is the best practice. because I don't have that much experience dealing with this error. But at least it did manage to solve the error. Okay, so now I want to go in the movies view. So I was at the right place, and I wanna ask it about. So actually, I'm going to reset the composer. It's Command R. I'm gonna say refactor movies view so that when tapping on a movie, I'm too used to autocorrection. We navigate to movies, movie details view. All right. So what is it going to do? So it's putting a navigation link here, and then okay, so it hard codes destination, which is fine. Okay. So which change do we have? So we have one here. Is the one I'm looking at. Yes. So this is movies view. So it's adding the navigation link. Okay, so I'm going to accept this one. And then the other one is here. And so it's the fact that so there is the let movie here. And then here, I'm not a big fan of what it's doing because it seems that it's overwriting completely the movie tells you to do something different than what I had it do before. So this one, I'm not happy with it. So I'm gonna say no, I don't want it. I don't want this change. So let's see. Let's see. What's gonna happen? So now I have some errors to fix. So yeah, movie details view. Okay, so here I guess. Yeah, it's just that we don't have an init for this, but we should have one actually. Why isn't there an error? Because we should have one. So I'm going to update, to ask cursor to update it. I'm gonna go here. No, yeah, here. And I'm gonna say, no, I want to do it at the level of the file. I'm gonna reset this. Add an initializer that takes a movie as argument. I'm just gonna ask that. I'm not saying like and use it to create the movie details view model because normally it should be able to infer it. Yes. Perfect. Okay, that one was good. Forgot to save. So do I still have the error? No, build succeed. Okay, let's launch the code. Okay, the design is not bad, to be honest. And here, it does the job. It does the job quite well, to be honest. It does the job pretty well. And yeah, we have a scroll view, but the scroll view gives a nice look. I'm looking at I haven't seen the movie Deadpool and Wolverine, but I didn't expect Matthew Macfadyen to be in there. Like, I still remember him, but when he was on the original cast of Spooks, which is a TV show, a British TV show from like 20 years ago, I think. It's quite old, So, but I didn't expect to see him in an X-Men MCU movie, but I guess every actor now is going to end up in the MCU at some point. So what I will do now, I'm going to try and ask it to do something a bit more complex. It's to use a transition so that the poster transitions nicely from one view to the other. So that like kind of like the magic move, for instance. So let's see if it's able to do that. That would be pretty cool if it could. So I'm gonna say it, okay, so you need to use movie details view and movies view. And so I'm gonna say refactor, no, add an animation so that the poster image on movie details view morphs into the one in, it's movies view in movie details view. Let's see how it can handle that. If it can handle that, it's gonna be impressive. Because it's the kind of stuff that is not that hard to do, but you need to like writing the code is a bit of a pain. Let's be honest on that one. So let's see if it can manage it. All right. So we have two changes, one in movies view, one in movie details view. I think that when you use it like in your daily flow, you don't read this unless you have to. You just move into the changes in the code. So adding a namespace seems to be correct in the movies view. So adding the animation here, passing the animation namespace, okay. So matched geometry effect movie ID in animation, okay. So here, these changes, I want to accept them. And then if I go into movie details view, so we also have this time, but it's passed as an argument. We get it here in the init. So here, this one could even be a let, I guess. And then match geometry effect. All right. And then it just here needs to create the preview animation. All right. I'm going to accept this. Here, I'm going just to say like, make the animation into a let constant. Perfect. And so now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm super curious to run it and to see if it works. If it works, it's gonna be right. Okay. Yeah, that's illegal what you're trying to do here. So I just do something like that. Okay. I'm not sure if it works for the preview, but at least it builds. So let's see. No, it's not working. Unfortunately, it's not working, but I have errors. So maybe we can use that. Multiple inserted views. So let's see. You know what? We'll just take this error and we're going to chat with the code base like that. And we're going to say, I'm getting this error. So like that. If it can solve the bug, it's gonna be pretty impressive because like I'm not sure how to solve this. So it's related to the match geometry effect. This error occurs when multiple views in the same match geometry group are marked as the source, which could be the case here because we have several images in the list and then only one in the details. So it's likely happening because you're using the match geometry effect in both the movies view and the movie details view for the same movie poster. To fix this issue, you need to ensure that only one view is marked as the source for each unique identifier in the matched geometry group. Let's modify the movies. Okay. So we need to replace. I see a question. I am 26. Can I learn iOS development? I would say yes, especially if you already know some computer science. Honestly, like I'm 34 and I tried to learn AI last month. So honestly, I don't think that that the age and 26 is still a pretty young age. So I would say yes, definitely doable. I've seen people do it, and it's gonna be even easier if you already have like a scientific background or even better a computer science background. But yeah, I think that's definitely doable, and there are like dozens of people who are doing this every year. So honestly, as long as you put in like the time and the effort and the energy, I don't think that there is a reason why you shouldn't be able to achieve it. It's just like as with everything, it's often a function of these three things like time, effort, and energy. And maybe effort and energy is a bit like the same thing, so more like time and energy. So let's see. So they were saying that here we give, so it's about the source view. So what should change? What if I do apply? So what did it change? Oh, here. So it's putting, so instead of doing ID movie.id, it's doing poster and then movie ID. Because maybe, normally the ID is supposed to be unique. Oh, thank you. Good to know that you enjoyed the videos in, I think it was 2 years ago that I started this series. I haven't been doing it that much since then, but I want to bring back this kind of like very short and focused kind of content, because people seems to enjoy it. It seems to be confirming that, and also they are easier and faster to make than long videos. So honestly, it's like it's a win-win when you think about it. But if you have any suggestions on topics that you would like me to cover in this like 90 seconds video, please write it in the chat now or write it in a comment on the video later. But I would love to know if you have any suggestions. And so in the other one, what do they say that we should do? They said that, so it was in, what did they change? So here they put that. But what I don't get is that it seems that they made the change like twice at the same place. Can it handle pagination? That's gonna be great for our next use case. We'll try that just after. But I don't understand like what it did, because here, yeah, but here it's in the other file. So here it made. So as you can see, it can get confusing to keep track of what's being changed. Let's see, because it's here that we should have that change. Yeah. Or maybe it's because, maybe also because it's an async image. Maybe that's why it's not working that easily. But let's see if we have the same issue. Yeah, there is still the same issue. So multiple inserted views in match geometry group per string ID, first, second, have is source true, results are undefined. So here we have the namespace. So why do we have this behavior? Because here, like, the change that was made, I mean, the ID was already supposed to be unique. What does it do? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna try and say, ask at the code base level, like, the match geometry effect isn't working. Maybe it's gonna get better like that. So when it's used within the same view hierarchy, in your case, you're trying to apply it between the movies view and the movie details view, which are separate views. to make the match geometry effect work, you need to move the namespace to a shared parent view, apply the match geometry effect in both the list view and the detail view, use a custom transition between the views. Here's how you can modify your code to achieve this. So create a new parent view that will contain both movies view and movies detail view. So yeah, you can't make it work across the navigation. That's what I seem to remember about this. And so here, is gonna take the animation as an argument for the movies view. But then you will no longer have, you won't have the navigation anymore. But you know what? Let's try and apply what they suggest here. So I will add this if I do apply, what happens? Because there is no file content view.swift. But if I do apply here, so now it says generating. I'm gonna accept this. Then I'm also gonna, it is like here it gets the name wrong because it should be movie details view. It seems that, yeah, I think it seems more like a bug in cursor than a bug in the AI, to be fair. So now we have that. And so now I need to go in Xcode. Normally, normally from what they said, Swift Assist is supposed to help with that kind of use case. It's not released yet. It's supposed to be coming later this year. We'll see between like the promise and what it actually delivers. But normally, it's supposed to do that. So I'm gonna create the content view that they suggested. It's supposed to have that. So I guess I would also need to save the changes. And then they were saying add the testing. So here in this file, yeah, because it seems that it's not getting the right file every time, but it should be here. So yeah, so there are some problems here on the file that it gets. All right, now let's see. So build failed. So here, alert item has disappeared. So I'm gonna ask it. I'm gonna be like, it seems that the code for alert item has disappeared. I asked for the full code base. I'm not sure that I need to do that, to be honest. So here they were saying like, add the following alert item Swift. So I'm gonna do that here. So alert item. No need to import foundation twice. So let's get back with this. And so here, missing argument for selected movie. You know what? I'm gonna just get rid of the preview here, and I'm gonna ask. Actually, I'm gonna ask Cursor to generate a new preview. So I'm gonna go into Movies View, Movies View here, and I'm gonna be like Command K, generate a preview. This static here stuff. Not sure it's gonna work. I'm not gonna take it for now. Anyway, I want to try it in the simulator. Okay, so this is completely broken. But yeah, no, it seems that the match geometry effect also didn't work. Oh, but we have a problem here. So they say here. So let's see, there seems to be a diagnostic somewhere. Where is it? There was some issue being reported. How do I access these issues? Because like there were some issues that were reported here. It was saying like 1, 2 and stuff like that. Now it's disappeared. Okay, but at least like the use case of asking it to create like the matched geometry effect and make it work, it seems that it wasn't super successful at it. So now I would love to put it back in the state that it was before, because I would like to I should have made a commit. I have been stupid, because if I go into this view and I do Command Z, I have nothing. Maybe if I go here and here, yeah, I'm gonna do like some Command Z. I can even go back to before I added the match geometry effect. Yes, that seems better, because I wanted to add the pagination. So this one is good also, and this one. Okay, I can accept that one. All right. So this way, maybe I will have. Yeah, now it's like alert item is already clear, so I can get rid of it. Okay, so you definitely want. No, I have something that's wrong here. Yeah, because the content view is no longer useful, so I can get rid of the content view. I don't need it anymore. So for that, I can get rid. Actually, I can just get rid of the content view like that. Move to trash. All right, build succeeded this time. I'm just gonna try and see. Yes. Okay, now let's try and add pagination. So let's go back into cursor, and I'm gonna make the window slightly bigger. So it's gonna be in the service. All right. So I'm gonna select this code explicitly, and I'm gonna say refactor to add pagination. So it's got the notion of a page correctly. All right. Now I'm going to reject it because I want to try and make the change in one go. So I'm gonna be what should I use? Should I use the composer? Now I'm gonna just try and chat with the code base. So I'm gonna be like a refactor movies service protocol. No, I will be even like more generic, like refactor the code to add pagination no, I want to add pagination to load more movies when the user scrolls, when the user has scrolled to the bottom of the list, and then asking the code base. This seems to be like more realistic than the match geometry effect. So we're gonna see that. So first they say, let's update service. So what should we do in service? So we add the pagination here. Here we pass the page argument. I suppose that's correct. And then we return total pages. Okay, so we return the array of movies and total pages. Okay, that one seems all right. I'm gonna accept it. Perfect. Then we update the view model, and there is still this bug, but it's a bug on like, or maybe I need to move myself to the correct file, but then here it feels like it could yeah, I have to move to the file. I don't know if it's intentional, if it's a bug or a non-limitation, but okay. It added the current page and has more pages, all right. Then it's appending, okay. All right, so this one, I mean, I'm accepting everything, it's correct. Then let's go into movies view. So once again, I need to go manually into movies view. It's putting a list for each. And then if it has more pages, it shows the progress view. When the progress view appears, it calls fetch movies again. And there is also a refreshable, okay. That makes sense. And then you need to update also, so you need to also update the movies response. So for that, you need to move into model. All right, so that one is good. So let's see. They say that normally it's done. So if it managed to do it, that's pretty great because it updated like several files at once. Yeah, seems to be good, but so it's good, but we do have an error that says the ID occurs multiple times within the collection. So what could be causing that? Maybe there is an error in the way that because here we do movies append new movies. So normally we are appending, but we get an error. Okay, so sometimes we get the same movie. So let's see. Let's see if we sometimes see the same movie more than once. Yes, sometimes we have the same movie more than once. So maybe it could be because like, I don't know, like, let's see if it happens every time. Because it could be, I don't know, like thinking like the movie list gets refreshed. Yeah, some movies are duplicated. So here it might be a bug on the API side. It might be a bug, at least like the app should find a way to handle this better, I would say. To try and like deduplicate, for instance. But at least here the request of saying, okay, I want to do this change at the code base level, try and do it. It worked pretty well. We had to still manually select each file, so it wasn't great, but it might be more of a bug on cursor than I don't know if it's a bug on cursor or if it's a real limitation. Like, could cursor figure out which file to open or not? I'm less sure because I don't like, you never know like what could be. There might be some limitations to technology which are not like obvious when you're using it, but But besides that, yeah, not bad, not bad. I agree. Like people who say like developers and engineers they are out of a job, I don't really agree with that. But for basic use cases, for prototyping, that's definitely very valuable. And I want to try one last thing for this live stream is to try and have it write test cases for me. So I'm gonna go into Xcode. I'm gonna add. I want to add a new testing target. So how do I do that here? I do test unit testing bundle. All right, let's create it. And also, I want to use Swift test. Actually, I want to see also how good it is at doing Swift test. How can I do like if I do like unit testing? Yeah, I should have said. Is it here that I say no? But I guess I can change. I guess I can just go here. I think I can just get rid of this and just say like Swift. Oh no, I know why. It's because I'm not using like right now. I'm not using the beta of Xcode, and I'm looking. I don't have the beta installed on this computer. So that's why I was like, why don't I have it? But on the computer I'm using for streaming right now, I don't have the beta of Xcode. Okay, so let's stay with XCTest. Let's get rid of that and let's ask cursor. So we're gonna go here and I'm gonna be like, write tests for the movies service. How is it called? Movies service class. Let's try and do that. Curious to see what it's gonna do. Okay. It's saying given. So it's mocking even the URL session and then injecting it. I'm curious to see how this mock URL session works. So it's here. Oh, it uses URL session protocol under the hood. I did a video on URL. No, it was on URL protocol, not URL session protocol. But the idea is to be able to implement your own mock URL session like that. Oh, so this way, that's interesting. It does the mock by providing an overload for the method data from URL. So it's even more like lighter than using URL protocol. That's kind of smart, honestly. I'm sure that there are ways that it could like blow up in your face as a bad practice, but that's kind of smart. And so you're saying you should try Command I for the composer. Okay, so maybe it's not what I've been using. So I'm going to give it a try just after. So test, but at least these tests seem to be correct. So I'm gonna run the test in Xcode, and then I'm gonna try the feature that you're mentioning. So this Command I feature. Okay, but here I have a problem that movie service you cannot inject the URL session there. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm gonna do Command I. So no, I did use the composer, yeah, because you're saying Command I to open the composer. Me, what I did, it was Command Shift K, and it seemed that it opened the same thing. So actually, I'm looking at the add the shortcuts. Um, because yeah, you're saying Command I. And yeah, I think like this, if this is what you call the composer, which seems to be the case, it's what I've been using before. Like the last instance, I did use Command K to do it in at the file level, but I've been using this in the previous example. So if it's the same thing, then it seems that I've been using it as I was supposed to use it. Yeah, because I remember this thing we said the reset composer. It's just that for me, creating files, this one, he didn't seem to be able to do it correctly, but maybe because it's a Swift project and it gets it a bit confused. But at least here for the change I need to make, so I'm being in the composer, but I need to make the change. It's supposed to be in movies service. I'm gonna have to add also movies service. No, it's inside service. The file is called service. That's why this naming scheme I was saying it's not optimal. So update movies service so that you can inject the URL session. I'm gonna submit it. So here I'm using the composer. And so here we're gonna get like the proposed change. So like what you were mentioning. So I'm accepting the change. I'm also gonna save. So let's see. Do I still have the error in the test? Yeah. Cannot assign value of type mock URL session to type any URL session protocol. I think here, because they added the same thing with another name in the app, that's why it's getting a conflict. Maybe it will be better this time. And you're saying you can also try at references to provide cursor a link to Stack Overflow or something as a reference using at web and at URL at codebase will send whole codebase at git. Okay. So you could give it like a Stack Overflow post and say like implement this fix, for instance. I want to make this simulator a bit smaller. Okay, so the test have run successfully. Okay, so that's kind of nice. Now I'm curious if I ask it to also write a test for the view model, if it's able to do that. So let's do that as the last thing, and then I'm going to leave it there. So here I've removed some stuff. Why do I still have this? Oh, because here I'm in service. Okay. So let's say that I also want to add a test for the movies view model because I'm curious as to how it's going to test it. So I'm gonna be like add test for movies view model. So we have this. So it's mocking the service, setting it up. So what does the mock service look like? So it's just generating mock movies. It's just returning mocks when you call fetch movies. And then you can inject whatever you want in these. And so it's saying, all right, here's what's expected. Interestingly, it doesn't take like the name of actual movies. Like I would have expected Copilot, for instance, to give me the name of actual movies. All right, so system under test. All right, setup. It's creating the mock movie service and system under test. And then for each test, it's gonna say So let expected movies, set them as mock movies, number of pages, fetch movies, and then it's gonna check count, first ID 1, title test movies, current page 2. Why current page? Where do... Here I think it's going to fail because we say... No, we say total pages 2. Oh yes, current page because it called fetch once. Has more pages, should be true. Is loading false, alright. You know what? Let's try and run these additional tests. So I guess I need to save the file. And let's run them. So we have an error, but we can just... You know what? I guess we can just even make like the whole class like main actor. I'm not sure if it's the best, no. So maybe I should have just kept this one to be oh my god. And if I put this, it's gonna tell me like, yeah, at least it's going to build. Maybe not the best practice, but at least it's gonna build. And then the tests are running. All right. I think I'm going to leave it there for this evening. So I'm glad I've tried this new like cursor tool. So my understanding, after having tried it for what, like 1 hour and a half, which is still like a small amount of time, is that I kind of see it as like a smart wrapper around tools like it does rely on an LLM under the hood, so it's a wrapper around here it's Claude, but it could also be ChatGPT or other LLMs. And then what it seems to be doing additionally is that it adds the integration between the IDE and the LLM. So it seamlessly integrates like your code into the actual prompt that gets sent, and then it parses the answer and it makes the suggestions on how to make the diff with the actual code. So that's pretty smart, but it also means that any like limitation that you have with LLMs, you will also have them with Cursor, because Cursor is built on top of an LLM, but it does show that a nice integration can help. I mean, what we've done was arguably nicer than copy and pasting from a ChatGPT chat in the web browser. So if Swift Assist manages to give the same ergonomy later this year, it's gonna be pretty great. I guess, like, yeah, you have two parts here. You have first the quality of the prediction, and that's on the LLM mostly, and also on good prompting, but that's mostly the LLM bound, I would say. And then you have like the integration of the response with the IDE, how you can make it feel very seamless. Here, maybe one thing that could be nice would be to have like an idea of a snapshot, so that you are able to get back to a previous snapshot if you're not happy with a change that you've made. For instance, instead of having to go to each file and Command Z and remember which file were changed. So I think there's still room for progress, but it's pretty nice. But I think people say like it's revolutionary, like engineers are out of a job. I would say no. I would see it more as like an evolution in a way that it's a smart wrapper around an LLM, but I don't see it as like a revolution either. But definitely a nice tool, and I think it definitely shows like the trend that we can expect and that we are already seeing and we can expect with the future of coding tools. And so you're saying like the most viable it's a bit late, I can hear it in my voice. The most valuable feature of Cursor is applying patches from AI suggestions. Exactly. That's what I was saying when I was saying that the value of Cursor is how it crafts the prompts for you and then how it parses the answer of the LLM. But it shows also that in order to integrate AI into a software, you need two things. Of course, you need a good model, either that you build yourself or that you use like APIs, open source models, etc. But then the way that you integrate the answer, the prediction made by the model into the software is equally as important. And I've seen it when working on Photoroom, for instance, because arguably it's kind of like the same thing. Like you can have a model that gives you a great prediction. Like you want to remove the background from an image, the model is going to give you a mask. You still need to build a UI that you can interact with nicely, that is agreeable to use. Because an end user, you give them like a mask and tell them, all right, have fun with it. You're not gonna build a business on that. That's pretty sure. Even for an API, it's probably way too rough. So there is definitely value in making a good wrapper. But then the question also becomes, for a tool like Cursor, since they don't own the LLM under the hood, they only own the integration. As soon as like VS Code or any other tool which has a larger user base implements the same feature, it's very vulnerable to being share-locked. It's what I'm trying to say, because there is no I don't think there is a strong moat to the business, except if you're trying to build a community like fast enough. But I would expect to. I think like Cursor is really really nice, but and I might be wrong on what I'm about to say, but I would expect that in a few years, like Cursor no longer exists in the way that we've seen today, but rather either the feature it does has been implemented into most IDEs as part of the standard package. And it's kind of like the direction that Swift Assist is going into with Xcode, or just like Cursor has been bought by Microsoft to integrate it into VS Code, something like that. But what I'm saying, I guess, is that I don't think that because yes, it's one tool, but imagine that you have Cursor does one thing well, so you have this ID, then there is another one, so you have maybe another ID on the side. It's becoming like unmanageable. So I can see it as like something that's going to be very popular as a standalone tool for some time, but then its features, they're going to get. It's very likely they will be integrated into the main IDEs, and I might be wrong because I don't know how Cursor is implemented under the hood, of course, but it feels that the features of Cursor, they have more to do with like classical software engineering, where you're crafting API calls and parsing API answers, than machine learning, where you're training models. So what I'm saying is that once you've seen the feature, or you've seen the ergonomics, and it's been validated by people that this ergonomy makes sense, replicating the features of Cursor into another IDE, I guess it shouldn't be too hard. I might be completely wrong on this one, but that's my take on it. Honestly, I'm still glad that I tried it, to be honest, because I had heard a lot about it, and whenever a lot of people talk about a tool, it's always good to have a look for yourself and to make your own opinion. So I'm glad that I did. To be honest, I don't think I would switch to Cursor to do iOS development, to be honest. Just like, even if Copilot is nice on a daily basis, you still want to use Xcode. But if you have something specific to do, maybe a specific task where you know that you want to rely on an LLM a lot, then maybe opening Cursor for that specific task would be nice. But since you can't run, I don't think that you can run an Xcode project from Cursor. I think like the cost of switching from one tool to the other would be super high for the normal development flow. But it's good to know that the tool exists, because if at some point you have you have a use for it, you can always give it a try for this one task. And from what I saw, like 1 month of pro subscription is like $20. If $20 paid once a month, once upon a time, is going to save you like a lot of time and effort, I still think that that it's a good deal. So so yeah, that would be my take on Cursor. I'm glad to have tried it because I think it shows like the beginning of a trend that we are going to keep seeing more and more. I think the ergonomics can still be improved because you still need like to know tell it like okay, which file should you change, and you have to click on the correct file. Otherwise, we saw that it couldn't like apply the patch automatically. At least when you were in the chat with the composer, it was a bit better already. But yeah, I mean, I guess at some point I should also stop talking and just finish this live stream, I guess. I should just, because I feel like I'm going into circles for like the last 2 minutes. But that was interesting to try this. And if I ever like have an idea for a really cool use case where Cursor could really help, maybe I will do like I will do a follow-up. Could be in a video, could be in a live stream, could be in an email. But I'm going to leave it there for this evening. So just before I end, as always, if you've been watching live, and even better, if you've been reacting live, in the chat, thank you so much, because these reactions are what make there is no S, are what make this live stream so nice and so interactive for me. And I just have to say, yeah, thank you for watching, and see you another time for another video. Bye bye.